I am super excited to be here. I haven't seen much of the first wave or this wave so far because I've been traveling, but I'm very happy to be part of this beautiful event. And today I'm going to share a bit more about channeling, how I got to channeling, the difference between the channeling that I'm sharing about here today as well as the Akashic Records, as I'm doing both, as was just mentioned. And I'd also like to have a little practice at the end to see how it works for you. As my belief is that everyone can learn to channel. It's not something that is only there for specific people. It's something that you can learn, that you can practice. And some people might have a natural gift for it and it might flow a little easier from the start. Just like some people are immediately talented to play football or the piano and some have to practice more. You can learn it, everyone can learn it. And the way that I've learned it is through 6 steps that you take to know that you are connecting in a safe way and that you are connecting to the right guides to allow them to communicate with you, through you. But before I start to share about my journey, I'm really curious if there are any questions that people have here, anything that you like to know about channeling or something that you're interested about, so I can take that along in what I'm sharing. Yes. I can repeat. I'll take that with me. So the question, in case they didn't hear it at home, how do you know if it's actually channeling or if it's your mind, or how do you distinguish between channel and mind? So this is something that comes up a lot, especially in the beginning. And when you start channeling, quite often it's a mix, and you have to learn to recognize when it's mind and when it's channel, and how to feel in your body, how to hear in the words, the different sensations that come through, the different wordings that your guides use. And with that, you can start to differentiate. I'll explain a bit more about that later on. Are there any other questions here?
Yeah, I'm interested for your personal opinion on this. Like, are the guides external to you or part of you?
Yeah, good question. So for me, that has been a topic that when I was channeling already, I had a friend here on the island and she was working with angels. She was doing angel therapy and she was full on into it. And then all of a sudden, someone told her that it was dangerous to connect with beings outside of you, that they were using your energy and you should not be doing that. And that was literally 2 days before I was teaching another channeling course. And I was like, okay, what do I do with this information? I really went deep into it. But normally when I have doubts about something, I channel on it and I ask my guides, like, okay, can I get your opinion so I know what to do with this? But in this case, I thought I can't ask my guides if they are using me, because I'm not sure if I would get the right answer and if this is the way to really know what's going on. So for me, that was really coming back to myself and feeling like, okay, what is my guidance system outside of my guides? And for me, that is just how I feel. How do I feel when I connect with my guides? How do I feel with the information that I'm receiving? As well as then I started looking at, how do I see my guides? Do I literally see them as outside of me, coming through me, but being completely disconnected? And I don't, actually. For me, the guides that I connect with are parts of my higher self. So they're higher self aspects that can be seen as separate, but in a way, on a different dimension, they are part of me. So some guides, like Isis, the goddess Isis, I connect with her and I see her as her own entity, but in the same time, I know that I have a connection with her in one of my multidimensional levels. So in the end, I believe we all come from one source, and there's a spreading out downwards so we can connect to the same higher self aspects the higher we go. And
so you are the it's not just your personal guide. You're saying I'm also the ascended masters on some level of vibration. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So there's personal guides, there's ascended masters, there's light beings, there's star beings. There are so many different aspects that you can connect with. And I think it also depends on the way that you open your channel. And the way that I've learned it is to always ask for the highest possible guidance. And asking for the highest possible guidance brings you the best possible guide in that moment for that question, for that person, in that location where you're at.
Thank you.
And any other questions that I should take in? No, not for now. So I'm just going to share a little bit how I came to channeling and what it does for me and why I love teaching it so much. So I was already very sensitive as a child. I already got a lot from my surroundings, but I didn't know how to work with it, and it was too much. So I just locked everything away and I closed everything up because I didn't know how to deal with everything. Then about, I think 15, maybe even 20 years ago, I received my first Reiki session when I was feeling completely lost in life. And someone gave me a Reiki session, and the moment she touched me, I kind of opened up and realized how I felt when I am fully connected to myself and to all that I am. And I was like, oh, this is what I need, and this is what I need to give to others as well. And I started shortly after I got my first degree in Reiki, got my second degree in Reiki, and I started giving Reiki sessions. My hands started to move all around the body. And with Reiki, you have kind of set hand positions, and my hands were moving and I couldn't explain what I was doing. I knew it was something good. I knew it came natural, but I couldn't explain to my clients. So they were like, so what did you do at my back? It's like, I can't really explain. I can't really tell you. So that got a bit annoying for me, and with that I thought, okay, I'm not calling it Reiki anymore because it's something else, but I got lost there. Then I happened to be invited to Ibiza to assist at a retreat for a week. I was here for a week, and a month and a half later I decided to move here. Gave up my job, gave up my house, moved to Ibiza, and met my teacher here who taught me how to channel and how to use channeling in healing. So by knowing how to connect with your guides and then going into a healing session, you just allow your guides to give you the information. What is happening with your hands? What are you doing here? Why are my hands drawn to this specific place in the body? And then images came and then sensations come. And with that, I started to be able to explain what was happening in the healings as well. So with opening all of that up again, I just knew, okay, this is something I need to share. So I've been sharing channeling workshops, channeling courses over the past 8 years. And for me, it's just super amazing to see how literally everyone can open up, how literally everyone can come back to this connection. And I just been teaching for the first time abroad in Austria last weekend. And I've had people in their 60s and 70s that were in tears and just telling me that I changed their life, and they felt that they've wasted 60 years of their life not being in this connection, and just remembering this changed them. And that for me is the beauty of doing this, of helping you to remember what is there and what always has been there, and how to come back to it. So the way that I've learned to channel is through 6 steps. And I'm going to share the steps. I'm not going to dictate them so you can write them down, but I believe there will be a recording, and otherwise you can come to me and I'll share them with you. But the steps are there to guide you into the right headspace, as well as calling in your protection and making sure that you are connecting with the right light. So the steps that I use are, the first one is I call for the white light of source to surround me now. And with that, I just visualize a massive light surrounding me on all sides, front, back, left, right, above, below. And this light, you call it down to protect you, So you're only connected with source light. It helps you to center, to make sure that you are in your center, that you are fully firm within, connected within, as well as it's the start of the opening to your channel. Second step is I open my heart in love and gratitude. And with opening the heart, feeling the love and gratitude, you make sure that you're in the right state of mind. You're coming from a place of love. You're coming from a place of gratitude. So you're connecting from a higher vibrational feeling state. Next step is grounding. I ground myself into the heart of Gaia now. And with the grounding, with making sure that you are connected to the earth, to Gaia, you make sure that you are in this reality, connected here. So we're not going into trance channeling. We are still fully present. Even though while I channel, I might move a bit more to the background, I'm still fully aware of myself, and I'm able to step out of it at any moment if needed. I'm able to get up and walk away if for any reason that would be necessary. After the grounding, calling back all the energy that I've been giving away or left behind to make sure that I have everything with me and everything is here before I, in the next step, expand my auric field. So in step 5, you expand your auric field, make sure that you're big, bright, visible to your guides. And then the last step is asking for the connection. And as I mentioned before, I stated as I ask for the highest possible guidance to flow through me now. And by asking for the highest possible guidance, you kind of skip the lower vibrational beings, and most times also the people that have just passed over. So sometimes I get requests from people that would like to connect with a partner or a parent that they lost, and I always tell them that's not what I do. I'm not directing my connection to a specific being or a specific person. I ask for the highest available guidance in the moment and trust that that is what is needed. So sometimes it can happen that the highest possible guidance is a deceased person. I once had it during a course after I just explained to the people I'm not channeling people that have passed away. And then there was a girl that specifically came to do the course because of that reason. And we haven't been in touch before, but she came through someone else. And she was meaning to meet her father for the first time in her life. And then he passed away before they got to meet. And then she joined the course and she asked a question about him. And then he came through because he was the highest possible guidance for that question, for that person in that moment. So it can happen, but most times you go to the Ascended Masters or other light beings, guides that are there. Are there any questions so far? Anything?
Hi. Nice to see you. Thank you for being here. When I do my thing, which I kind of put a word for it now called the field key, I'm combining different things like quantum medicine and kinesiology and channeling, etc., etc. I was always doing it my way until about a year and a half ago, and then suddenly I would be directed to the Ascended Masters, to the archangels, and I had to then go to them, and they would show me which one it was, and then I would have to focus on them, and then they would go back to all my charts and things, and I would get the answer. Why do you think it's just suddenly come in? Because it's really surprised me, because I never really worked direct with archangels, angels. I worked with exactly what you say. I asked the highest, the best, the good beings. Mm-hmm. And now suddenly a lot of my answers are coming from Master Saint Germain or, all the different.
Might have to do specifically with the topics you're working on. Maybe they want you to know who the answer is coming from, so you can find out more about who they are and what they represent and get more of that information in. maybe they just want to show you the differences between the available sources of information that are there. And when you can use several or one of them to receive the information. Seeing if there's anything else that I should reflect on. But so yeah, sometimes it seems that sometimes the guides that come through want you to know where the information is coming from because of their background, because of the storage of information that comes with them. And it's easier to receive the information from them by understanding who it is that is coming through. It comes with a certain connection and a certain vibration that makes it clearer or easier to receive that specific information than when you allow it kind of to come from out. Yeah. Any other questions?
Hi. I don't know if this, it just came to me because I'm just starting all of this and starting to learn all of this. But I was wondering, what about when you don't go through the 6 steps that you're speaking of and it just kind of comes to you, it just hits you like out of nowhere? For example, I was on a plane one day, and my friend's father, I knew, was very sick and was going to be passing, and he just came to me out of a deep sleep when I was on the plane, and I just knew, oh, Robin's father just passed, and I just started crying for him. And I'm just wondering, it's not the first time it's happened, and if that's okay, like if that's a safe not going through and it just coming to you like.
Was there a message with it, or was it just a sensation that he was present?
Yeah, it was no message. It was just like I knew, and I was kind of sending my love to her because I knew right then and there he had.
So what I haven't explained, which might have been a good start if you share about channeling. What channeling actually is what my guide showed me in the beginning, is if you have a channel, and they're putting something in, it needs to come out at the other end. So if it's channeling, there's an input and there needs to be an output. Otherwise, it can be a connection, it can be intuition, it can be insight, it can be a gut feeling. But with channeling, there's an input and there has to be an output. Otherwise, there's no movement in the message. The output can be anything. It can be in writing, it can be spoken, it can be in dance, it can be in cooking, it can be in art. But there has to be an output to call it channeling. If you start with channeling, it's very important to remember that as long as you don't let the first bits out, the rest stays in the channel. So if you don't speak the first words that come up, or don't acknowledge the first sensations that you notice, don't acknowledge the first images that you get, the rest stays stuck in the channel. So if I start practicing with people, I always tell them, you have to start writing and continue writing until I say you're allowed to stop. You have to start speaking and continue to speak until I say you're allowed to stop. Because otherwise they're waiting to get the full sentence, to get the full information before they dare to start. If a connection happens out of the blue, if there's really a message involved and there's really a channeling coming through, I would always quickly go through the steps just to be sure that you are connecting with light and that it's something that you're grounded before you make the connection and then go through it. I've had a lot of people coming to my courses that were kind of activated in light language out of the blue and they weren't able to control it. And I think that you should be able to control it. You should be the one in control saying, now you're welcome to come in and now I want you to stay out. And that is what you do with the steps. You use them when you want to open and you close at the end in your own way. Not saying it's necessarily dangerous if you feel something comes to you and it feels good, that you should stay away from it and start to fear it. Because I do believe whatever happens, you are in control anyway. So as long as it feels good, you should be able to trust that. But if at any point something feels off, you are in control. You're able to send them away immediately. Yeah. So trust your own guidance in that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This is outside of the camera, but she's being dragged down by her hair by the little one. Any other questions for now?
Was your teacher Solara by any chance?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Solara Unra, yes. Yeah, so she lived on the island for quite a few years, and I met her not knowing who she was, and found out that there were people coming from the States and even Australia flying into Ibiza to follow her courses. And I've done the channeling course with her 3 times and her healing course twice. And then I went teaching in the Netherlands. And when she left the island, I also started teaching here. So I've learned her way of channeling, or the way she's teaching, and it has changed a little over the years, but the steps have been more or less the same. So if you want to channel in this way and you want to use these steps, and we're going to practice later on, the most important thing is not to get the words 100% right. It's not about the words that you're saying. It's not about reminding every word in the way that I'm sharing it with you. It's about what you do with the steps, understanding why you say the steps. Why are you using them anyway? Why are you asking for the light? Why are you opening your heart? Why are you grounding? If you understand what you're doing with the steps, it doesn't matter if you use these words. It doesn't matter if you keep them in English, if you translate them to any other language or make it into your own version. I like to use them in English. Even when I'm teaching in the Netherlands, I still keep them in English because for me, the words resonate more in English than in Dutch. But this is not about the words. It's about the intention behind it and what you do with them. So if there aren't any questions now, I will just tune in myself and see if there's any messages from the guides before we continue. So I'll just talk myself through the steps and see what happens. And I am a direct voice channel. If I channel in this way, which is different from the Akasha, which I'm going to explain more about later on. If I channel in this way, I'm a direct voice channel, which means the guides speak directly through me, and my voice changes depending on the guides that come through. In my last course, there was a guy, he's like, "Oh, but I'm not ready for that. That's not what I'm here for." I'm like, well, it really depends on who you are and what your connection is. There's not a lot of direct voice channels. In all the years that I've been teaching, I've maybe had 1 or 2 in my groups. So some people receive through images. Some people actually see a guide and go into conversation with a guide, and in that way receive the information and share. Others mostly receive sensations to the body that they have to explain. It can happen that you just have a whole thought package which you have to express. In my case, my guides just speak directly through me without me having to do much. Only open up and allow them to be there, which for me, the first time that I did the channeling course was a massive step. Writing channeling was super easy, but allowing them to use my voice, not knowing what would come out, how I would sound, was, I completely blocked myself, and I wasn't able to channel in spoken language at the first course. But then afterwards, I practice a lot, and now it's it's supernatural. And it's good to clear everything out before we open our channels. So I'm just gonna go through the steps. Some water. Go for the white light of source to surround me now. I open my heart in love and gratitude. Ground myself into the heart of Gaia. Call back all of my energy. concentrate and expand my auric field. Ask for the highest possible guidance to flow through me now. Welcome, 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 welcome to all of you. We are very pleased to be here and to share our energy with you all. We are excited to share our information with you, to connect with you, and to show you how easy it can be to connect with us. Each of you have your own connections, your own available guides surrounding you, as well as there are many overseeing guides and counsels that are present here after all the work that has been done in this spot to open the field, which makes it easier for you to connect as well. And this is something that you might want to take into account when you start with channeling yourself, to find a place that has a certain vibration where you are feeling comfortable, where you know there has been done some energy work for the good, where you feel the vibration is light, where you feel there's an openness in the energy readily available to you, which you can tap into. When you start practicing channeling at home for the first time, choose a spot in your house where you feel drawn to, where you feel safe, where you feel the energy supports you in taking these steps into connecting. And once you got the hang of it, once you know how to connect, once you have practiced several times, you can try different locations, try different spaces in your house, try channeling indoors, try channeling outdoors, and observe the differences. Observe what happens within you when you connect, and observe the connection that's being made in these different places. And even if you already have a set place for your practice, it can be interesting to play around and discover different places in your surroundings, as you might be surprised by what you receive outside of your set structure, your set sacred space. There is more to experience, there is more to connect with when you choose to work in different places. Play around with this. Allow yourself to be playful in your practice. as playfulness assists in the connection, when you make it too serious, when you try to make it more difficult than needed, you are closing your energy, you are making your channel tighter. The more you can be playful and open, the easier it is for us to connect with you and to assist you in this process. Thank you. So they also want me to share that just asking your guides out loud or in your head, just telling them like, hey, I really want to connect with you. Can you assist me in understanding how I can connect with you? Can you guide me to the right step, the right teachings to make this connection? Can you assist me in hearing you, seeing you, feeling you, connecting with you? And even though you might think now that you are not capable of channeling yet, or you're not sure how to receive their information, when you ask them like this, when you ask them very specifically, like, hey, I want to get information from you, I'd like you to assist me, they will make sure that the right information comes to you and the right things, the tools that you need, the people that can inspire you, can assist you, will come your way, or you'll be pointed in their direction. Right. Is there anyone that has a specific question for the guides? Yeah, go ahead.
What do you do when you feel that you shouldn't come through? So, for example, you were channeling somebody or something, but that being didn't want to come through.
I don't understand the question.
So I'll explain it. It's kind of like if you were channeling the best being, as you say, what if some beings think that they shouldn't be coming through you, not you specifically, the person? What would they do? Do they say, I don't think today, or what?
I think that if in the way that I'm opening up, I wouldn't notice if there's a guide that thinks, oh, I'm skipping this one or I'm skipping this question. I think they would just move out of the way and open up the space for anyone else, any other being or energy that wants to come through. But I've also had overexcited people in my courses that went home after the first evening and decided, oh, I'm going to immediately practice while I tell people, like, take some time to integrate because it's a lot. Like, so they went home and wanted to channel, and the guides just said, no, you have to rest. So it can happen that they tell you, we're not coming in, we're not joining the party. But I think normally if there would be a guide that doesn't want to come through, they just move out of the way. I've never had an experience that I felt there was a guide there they didn't want to connect. Interesting question though. Thank you.
Hello. Hey. In one of my downloads around learning to channel, came to me that I needed to go to quite a high frequency, a high point, which would help by being quite elevated. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Before I normally invite people to my channeling course, I tell them a week in advance to quit drinking coffee, drinking alcohol, using sugar, be aware of what they take in through media and stuff. So to really make sure that their energy is as sensitive as possible, that they are already more open, and it's easier to connect. So the better you take care of yourself, the higher your frequency, the easier it is to have that connection. I used to be very strict with myself that I wouldn't 48 hours or something like 24 hours before channeling or anything. I wouldn't drink coffee or sugar or alcohol. I know now that I can make the connection even when I've had coffee on the same day. Would never connect after drinking alcohol. But I do think the clearer your system, the easier it is to connect and more beautiful everything can flow.
Okay, so I can drink coffee again.
Ask your guides. That's not up to me.
And just the second part was, does it help to be in an elevated location, higher?
Not necessarily. If you would be elevated inside a building and there's still a lot of things above you, I think that's worse than being in nature without anything above you.
More of a mountain or something.
Yeah, okay. Would that help? Depends on the mountain. It really depends on the energy present in the place that you're trying to channel. I can channel in a plane, which I want, and then you're in between. But I wouldn't say that it's necessarily easier because I'm more elevated there. Mountains tend to have a right energy because there's not a lot build up and there's not a lot human influence in those places, so it makes it easier to connect. But if it's a mountain that is ruined by humanity, I don't think it makes it. It's not just the level of elevation.
Okay, thank you.
Hello. So my question is concerning the guides. Do they ever get tired? If you can you call them too much, kind of thing? Because I kind of have sometimes the sensation of just being kind of really mindful of calling on any energy or guide to assist me in something, because I just wonder if we could do it too much and then, they're trying to be spread out everywhere. And I know that they're infinite and whatever, so it probably doesn't matter. But I guess I just wanted to get the guide's opinion on that.
Yeah,
is there a certain how do you know if it's when to call on them kind of thing, or if it's okay, so many times a day, or
my own answer to that would be the one who's getting tired might be you, not them, because they are not experiencing anything physical like tiredness. It's that would be my guess, but I'll connect and see what they have to say about it.
I think it's also asking the feeling of asking too much from them, and just kind of letting them do their thing, and don't know. It's not. I just took the microphone because it wasn't fully clear, the question. I think the guides will know what I'm saying.
Let's see what they have to say. So I'll just quickly go through a few of the steps. Field. They ask the highest possible guidance to flow through now. We are always present and we are always capable to respond to your requests without being drained or without being it too much for us. We don't have a certain degree of how much we are capable of handling within a specific time frame, because time doesn't exist in our experience, in our way of being. There is no request too big, as we don't measure in the way that you measure things. There is no more or less to things when everything is infinite. When there is an infinite amount of love, when there is an infinite amount of light, when there is an infinite amount of energy, we can do everything all at once without overwhelm, without experiencing anything that you might experience here in the physical reality that you are in. There is no difficulty for us to respond to multiple questions at the same time. There is no difficulty for us to do hundreds of things at the same time, as time is not of the essence in our world, in our experience, in our dimensions. I'll open up and take your questions. Does that answer your question? So I'm just going to check the time. So we've got another hour. Any more questions that people want to ask about? Or I'm going to explain a bit more about the difference between this way of channeling that you've just seen and the Akashic Records. So I explained that when I came to the island, I learned to channel in this way. And I've started teaching this. And a few years back, I was on a little mushroom journey with myself, asking the question like, hey, I want to know, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? I know this is part of it, but I feel there's more to it. And in that journey, I got a vision of myself with like all sorts of antennae going up into the universe, and me just sharing that information. And I knew like, oh, this is the Akasha. I only had an Akashic record reading from someone else once, but I thought, oh, I'm supposed to connect with the Akashic Records. So I came out of my trip, but I immediately messaged that person like, hey, can you teach me how to do this? She's like, yeah, I'm setting up a course. It will be done in 2 months. I'm like, no, I want it now. So I ended up finding a book, which is called How to Read the Akashic Records. And I read that book, and that just helped me to reconnect with the Akasha. And for the ones that are not familiar with it, the Akashic Records are seen as a universal library where the book of your soul is stored. And you can connect to that field and request information from your book, or if you're reading for someone else his or her information. And the first time that I connected to the Akasha by doing the exercises in the book, I was literally crying. I thought, oh, this is home for me. This is what I know. It felt so familiar and so logical in a way, the way that I was receiving the information and everything in there. And people ask me if I can teach them how to read the Akasha, and I don't know how to do it because it came so natural to me. So I can recommend the book and practice with that. But explaining what I do when I'm there is very difficult for me because it just came so natural. So for me, when I channel with the Akasha, from the Akasha, connecting with the Akashic Records is very different than this way of channeling. There's a different way of opening, there's a different way of closing, as well as the way I receive the information comes in a completely different way. So I mentioned it a little bit before that depending on how your system works, you might be a direct voice channel, but you can also be clairvoyant, you're seeing, clairaudient, you're hearing, clairsentient, that you're sensing, or claircognizant, that you know. And there's also the smell and the taste, which can be there, but most often not the main sense that is activated. So when I connect with the Akasha, I am mostly receiving insights as a whole thought package that is just there, and I'm sensing a lot in my body. So when I open a session, when I use the opening prayer for the Akasha and I'm connected, kind of immediately when I start tuning into the other person, I start to feel things in my body. And I know when I'm in this connection, it's not me, it's not my body that all of a sudden creates a headache, or all of a sudden I have difficulty breathing. It has to do with the person that I'm reading for. So knowing that, every little thing that shows up when I'm connecting is part of the message, is part of what I'm supposed to be sharing. So if I do an Akasha reading, I would say like, oh, all of a sudden I have this pain in my left shoulder, and if I feel into it, it really makes me anxious, and I don't actually want to see it. And with that, the information just follows. So again, by starting to let the first bit of information out, the rest follows. So an Akasha reading is still a way of channeling. It's still channeling as there's an input and an output. But for me, it's a completely different way of channeling. And I'm not really able to combine those two. So or I channel with these steps, or I channel from the Akasha. And it's a difference. And I can't teach the Akashic Records readings. I give readings. If anyone is interested in a one-on-one session, they can have that with me here or online, or in any way that you want to. But I do teach people how to channel. And I think it might be interesting to do a little exercise now and see what happens with the people that are here. So if you have pen and paper already, that's good. If you don't, I've got lots of paper here and pens. So we can spread that around. Share it. And please, can I have the pens all returned, because they have a meaning to me. They used to belong to my mom's side. I'd love to have them back, because my mom's not there anymore. It's her collection of pens that she took from everywhere. And it can be nice to draw a card, but I'm first going to explain what we're actually going to do. So if at home, if you're watching and you do have a card deck, get it with you, because it can be useful. So what we are going to channel on is a question that you can always ask, and you can ask it every day again. And that is, what do I need to know now? It's a very open question, and you're just inviting your guides to share with you anything that they would like to share. What do I need to know now? And if you like, and we're not doing that now, but if you like in the future, you can also add something to what do I need to know now regarding my job, regarding my partnership, regarding my idea for my business, or whatever comes up. You can use the same phrasing, the same start of that sentence. What do I need to know now? And add something at the end. For now, we're just keeping it with what do I need to know now. Then I am going to guide you through the steps in a moment. And when I share the steps, I'm going to ask you to repeat them out loud. Again, don't worry about the words. If you lose the words, doesn't really matter. Because I am then going to explain to you what you're going to do with the step, what you're going to see, what you're going to think about, what you're going to feel, what you're going to imagine. And at the last step, after the last step, I'm going to ask you to start writing without thinking about anything, and just write and continue writing. we're going to hand out cards. If you get completely stuck, you can look at the card and start describing what you see on the cards. So the card have an image and a word. Try to ignore the word and just allow the card to spark anything inside of you. We're not going to check afterwards if you got the card right and you got what's in the book. It's about using the card to get a bit of an inspiration. And then you might find a flow in the words that come out. It's a first practice, so don't expect that it's immediately amazingly flowing, but let's see what happens and how far we are going to get. I'm just going to hand these to you if you can pass them around. Just pick a card and place it down, face down, not looking at it yet. Don't pick it like that. Turn other way. Yes, like that. And then don't look at it yet. Put it down, put it down, put it down. Yes. No, it's okay. Yeah. It's okay. So if you have a card deck at home, pick a card, put it down, don't look at it yet. Allow it to be there in case of need. And one thing that I didn't mention, what I would normally do if you channel more often, start with a date, a place, and a situation. So if you look back in months' time, you know when and where you were, and maybe you can even see like, hey, if I'm indoors, I always connect with this guide. If I'm there, if it's full moon, my channeling is more about that than it's about something else. For now, it's just an easy little practice to start with. So I'm just going to ask you to close your eyes, to turn inwards, and to give yourself a moment to connect in, to feel yourself, and to have an open, curious state of mind. Don't put too much pressure on here. Be playful. And I'm going to ask you to repeat the steps out loud. I will cut them into pieces and then explain what we're doing with the step. So the first step, I call for the white light of Source to surround me now. And with that, imagine, visualize, sense that there's this massive spotlight coming from the heavens, coming from the universe, coming from Source, surrounding you on every side, front, back, left, right, above, below. You're completely surrounded with this white light on all sides that is protecting you, is helping you to center and assisting you to start opening up to connect with your guides. The next step to repeat out loud, I open my heart in love and gratitude. And open your heart, front and back of your heart. Really push it open, create space in your chest. Feel the love, feel the gratitude for everything that is. Next step to repeat out loud. I ground myself into the heart of Gaia now. And then shoot down an anchor or root a cord of light straight into the heart of Gaia, Mother Earth, Pachamama, where you ground yourself, anchor yourself, root yourself, connect yourself. So you are fully present right here, right now, during this whole channeling. Next step to be repeated. I'll do it in little bits again. I call back all of my energy that I've been giving away or left behind to myself now. And as if you can turn on an inner magnet, you're withdrawing all the parts that belong to you, all pieces that you've been giving away, left behind, all particles that are part of your energy right here, right now, back with you. So you're fully here, fully whole. Before we go to the next step, the next step is I concentrate and expand my auric field. And we're concentrating our energy field, our auric field, make it thick, make it dense, and then you expand. Allow your energy field, your auric field to grow, to be big, to be bright, to be visible to your guides. And then the last step, I ask the highest possible guidance to flow through me now. I ask the highest possible guidance to flow through me now. And with that, you can pick up your pen and just start writing. Don't think about it. And if you don't know what to write, just write down, I don't know what to write. Allow it to flow. You can use your card if you want to. Don't have to. And slowly start to get to a finish. And always finish with a thank you to your guides, no matter how much you feel you've received. When you're asking a question, something's coming, finish with a thank you. Anyone like to express and share what they experienced with the steps with them?
Hi. Going through the steps, I wasn't sure if anything was changing. Once I started journaling, I noticed it just sort of took over, and I started communicating as from me to almost like to a third person, like you will do this, you will do that. It was actually quite incredible, and just kept going and going and going.
Good.
And so yeah, that's quite interesting.
Did you use a card at all?
No.
So this is one of the things that quite often happens, is that the message that you receive is in the you form. So it's not I, can happen as well. I'll explain what difference is. But most times it's someone talking to you and saying you, blah, 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 you. If it is in I form, it's most likely your higher self talking about I, and it's not your personal I. There's a difference in vibration there. There's a difference in the messaging there. But receiving in you form is one of the most often the first signs that you know it's not coming from your mind, but it's coming from someone looking at you, talking to you.
See.
Anyone else likes to share?
For me, it came as kind of like a journaling, stream of consciousness kind of thing. And I had done a course, and the course, I mean, different courses, but this one was kind of like, don't take your pen off the page kind of style. So, but then I started to dot the T's and cross the I's. But it was really on point, the message. And then afterwards I pulled the card, and basically the message is like, everything is perfect right here, right now. And then I pulled the card of alchemy, and it's like, it's all in the palm of your hand. So it was
nice.
Very, very on point. So
good. Thank you. Anyone else likes to share? So there was a question earlier about, I'm pointing there, but you moved there. About how to recognize what is coming from the mind and what is coming through the channel. So one thing is the way that you're receiving. So when you would journal for yourself, the way that you write, or when you're speaking and it's spoken channeling, there's a difference in how the words flow through. It's more of a flow. Sometimes it can be similar to automatic writing if people are familiar with that, but there is a slight difference, and you'll know that when you feel it. It's difficult to express. But first of all, it's the feeling that you get while doing it. Sometimes people already sense it with the steps. They sense it while they are connecting. They're sensing there's a shift there. Can also happen that you don't feel anything with the steps, but then when you start, there's this sensation that something is just flowing and coming through. So sensations in the bodies, the way the words flow. U form is quite often used. Doesn't mean that if you are receiving an I form that it's not channeling, but again, the I form that's used is most times coming from a higher self perspective. Sometimes I force people or tell people in the course, like if they are writing in I form, see what happens if you consciously change it to you, because that might help with kind of clicking into the channeling. In the beginning, again, something what my guide showed me. It's like as if there's like two streams, and this is the mind and this is the channel, and they're quite close to each other. When you're in your mind, you can't be in your channel at the same time. But in the beginning, you're kind of moving in and out, in and out. You're shifting from mind to channel and back. So in the beginning, you'll read a message, or I'll hear the messages that people share the first time that they channel, and I can feel sometimes all of a sudden there's this switch in the energy where I can feel that there's channeling there, there's light there, there's something else there, there's a different vibration in the words, and then the mind takes over again, and then I feel, oh no, this is them. In the beginning, it can be very confusing because you judge what you're writing while you're writing. So your mind kicks in while something's coming through, and then you're just going back and forth. So this is something that comes with practice, to stay in the channel and not switch back into mind while you're channeling. It's also something that can be really helpful is try not to get the message while you are receiving it. Try not to read what you're writing. Try not to listen to what you're saying while you are channeling. If you are writing, when you're finished, you can read what you received. When you're speaking, record it, and then you can listen back to what you've received. Yes?
For many years, I had a teacher in the north of Italy, and when she was doing a personal reading, what she would do is she would get a pen and paper and write the name and the date, and then she would scribble. And while she was scribbling, so that her mind was occupied doing the scribbling, so it was just like, so she filled the whole page with scribbling and be speaking in an ancient Italian and recording, and then you had the recording. So you could listen back to it.
But
her mind was busy doing the scribbling. And then when she said, okay, now you have time for questions, she'd stop the scribbling. And then when the question was asked, then she scribbled again and give the answer. So she was totally in two spaces at the same time. Like her mind was occupied scribbling with the action, and then her voice was just coming through. So it's really nice.
Nice. Yeah, so if the mind is there, then keep it occupied with something else, so the channel can be flowing like that. Another way that you can recognize channeling from mind is wordings. I quite often use words while channeling that I would never use myself. I know their meaning, I know the words, but they're not part of my regular way of speaking. The sentences, the way they are built, the length of them, the beautiful, sometimes almost poetry-like sentence, not something that I would do. Comes through the guides, comes through. Also can happen that instead of these beautiful long sentences, you've got like words. And some people think that that's not really channeling because they've heard it in a different way. It is. It can depend on the guide, can depend on you, the way that you are receiving. And don't judge. That's an interesting one, but because of course you are judging in learning what is channeling, what is not. But don't judge that channeling has to look a certain way because the channels that you know are all channeling in that way. It can be that your messages come in a different way. They might be more word for word. They might be shorter. There might be, I have people that come joining a course and they can write like 10 pages as soon as they start. And some people just get a message of 2 or 3 sentences, which doesn't mean that those 2 or 3 sentences are less valuable. It's the way that they communicate. It's a guide that maybe is more to the point and just says it straight instead of using a lot of words to get something across. Just thinking if there's anything else to... Yeah, this is something, if you want to continue with your channeling practice, what is very interesting is after you've practiced a few times, and normally I would give different types of exercises, different types of questions with cards, without cards, for yourself or someone else, and then you've got the whole course. But at some point, once you've done a few exercises, you can kind of start to observe yourself while channeling and see what happens within you. Maybe there's something that clicks. Maybe there's a weird feeling in your left knee when you're channeling. For me, when I voice channel, my head starts to move like this quite often. For me, my guides click in here at the back and I feel them coming in. I feel sensation coming to my body. I feel pressure on my throat. I kind of sense which sounds they want to make. The sounds come out and then the voice comes. Writing channeling is completely different for me. And it also depends if I work with a card or not. If I work with a card, it can be much more almost like a mental energy, still channeling because it's not coming from my mind, but it has a different vibration as when I don't work with a card and I just allow it to flow. So there's different ways of playing around with your connection, finding out what works for you, what doesn't work for you, as well as getting the feeling of what quality, and not quality in good or bad, but quality in a way of sensation, the fabric of the energy you feel, you sense when you are connected. What is the energy that comes with it? What are the sensations that come with it? How do you recognize your guides? And then when you start channeling for someone else, you might connect to their guides and there's a completely different sensation and a completely different experience. And you might even struggle to get the wording because they communicate in a different way. Any questions about this or something that came up? Yeah.
It's a question about, I guess, different techniques. So what you just said about like this stream of consciousness writing or something like that. Mm-hmm. So there's one way, which is like you use the letters of the alphabet and so you do A and you have an amazing, blessed, charismatic, delicious, whatever. Wow. And so that's kind of like another way of your mind being occupied by figuring out the word that comes, but then the word that comes is the message kind of thing. Mm. And it was like go from A to Z and then backwards, and then you have like this whole like page of words. Mm. I don't know, would that still be kind of connecting to channeling, or would that just be a different technique which is helpful in different ways?
Yes. I think it would still be channeling because it's not you, as long as it's not you trying to force to fill it in from your mind. But you allow the words to come, and it's still channeling. And it's a different exercise. I think it would freak me out if I had to do it. I think my mind would be way too present for an exercise like that. I will try it when I'm feeling like it. But I think for me, that would be, this way for me is easier. Not having any setup structure in how it has to come. And then that opens up possibilities. But if you do feel, hey, this sounds interesting and I want to practice with that, there's so many ways of connecting and so many sources to connect to. And I always tell the people that join my courses, like this, I'm sharing you what I've learned. I'm sharing you how I got to my connection, but make it yours. Find what works for you. Don't think that now these are the 6 steps and you have to follow these and this is the only way that you are connecting to your guides. It's not. Like, everyone has their own team that you can connect with, and for some, art works much better than channeling in this way. I am channeling when I'm in the kitchen, when I'm cooking. I'm not thinking about what I'm gonna make, but I just get some ingredients together, and that for me is also, I'm in a state of channeling. If you love cooking, or if you don't, you can ask your guides to assist you with cooking as well. You can even ask to channel the food that is best for the person that you're cooking for. You can use your guides, not use them, that sounds maybe a bit bad. You can ask them to assist you with so many things, to give you inspiration for things, to assist you in any creative project that you're doing. They are there, willing to help. There's an infinite amount of beings that are just waiting to assist us. And this is something that was so present in the last course that I taught in Austria. And I'm talking about it several times because I just flew back to Ibiza after that one. And it was so intense to feel how much they want to assist us, how much light they are bringing in, and how by connecting with that light and by being aware of them and by connecting with them and by allowing them to connect with us and to share through us, we are changing our physical reality. We are, by connecting with the light and by sharing the light and by spreading the light, we are changing all the outcomes that are now the most possible timeline. But the more light we put in, we shift those timelines. And we are capable of shifting so much more than we are aware of. Most of us are aware of. So ask your guides, because they love to assist in anything. So definitely do that.
Thank you. Yeah, that's really helpful to be able to distinguish the mind working and then just the flowing and being assisted. Nice distinction. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? Yes.
It's the card also part of, would the card be giving us a message as well in this case?
Yes. So if you choose to channel with a card and you decide not to use it, that's fine. If you do use it, it can assist, and sometimes it can also kind of block. If the card has a dark image or an image that you don't relate to, it can kind of be like, oh, I don't know what to do with this. But the cards, no matter which response comes up, the trigger that's there, the response that's there has information for you. There is something behind it. So if a card, probably there's a reason why you're asking it. Is your card related to the message that you got, or do you feel it's completely separate?
The card is not related to the message, but the card is bringing me a message.
Yeah.
This way I see it. And the moment I saw it, the first images are several buffaloes. And in the previous meditation, the quantum meditation that we did, that was the animal that came.
Oh, wow.
So that Melchior so wonderfully guided. So at first I saw the buffaloes and I was like, oh.
And where the buffaloes for your new life?
This is the animal that I got on my meditation. And then I looked at the card, and my mom transcended recently. And my sister says that she's a butterfly. And there is a woman that looks Spanish with a red flower, which is with my mommy. And it's got butterfly wings.
Oh,
so the more I look at the card, the more I feel the connection and the message through it. So, yeah, I was wondering if that could be also the message coming through the card.
Yes. Yeah.
And it says expectation.
Well, that's why I said ignore the words, because we're using the cards now just for the images and to spark the channeling.
Thank you.
Thank you. With every image, when you look at an image, you might think, oh, but this is what's on the image, and this is just, I'm just seeing the image and this is what it means. In your case, it's very specific, related to your recent experiences. But I often hear people saying, no, I just describe what's on the card. And I'm like, no, if I asked 10 other people to describe the same card, I would get different explanations. You always put in something from yourself because you have associations with a specific animal, with a specific color. It brings up a certain memory. It brings up a certain idea. And all of that is part of your connection. Your guides will speak to you in ways that you understand. So quite often when people start channeling for the first time, they will, but I just heard this on the radio yesterday, or this is something my grandmother always used to say, or I just read it in a book. But that's, your guides know that there's a connection, there's a hook there. They can use that to bring in the rest of the information. They know that's already present there. So it's easier to use that and bring in the rest of the information. So don't think like, oh, but this is something I already know. This is something that someone already told me. It comes up now. It comes up while you are in the channeled state as information. As soon as you sit down and connect and want to receive, everything that you receive is part of the information, is part of the message that's being shared. So be aware of that. Don't think, oh, but this is just something that comes up now. And if you sit down and all of a sudden there's something in your body that becomes more present, even though you might have had back pain for a long time, but when you start to sit down to channel and the back pain all of a sudden becomes stronger, go into it, listen to it, give it space to express whatever wants to come out. It's all part of the information that's being shared. And your guides, the beings around you, are just using whatever is present to kind of touch the buttons to get connected.
I get this is you're teaching beginners, but I have a question for you that I'd like to know the answer to. For me, the channeling of a being can come anywhere in the spectrum of duality. So from the shadow, the light, or the grey. So how do you teach people in your system how to? Is it just you just say go to the highest thing and you trust that that's always the case, or is there like sometimes the other beings come in, and how do they discern that?
With going through the steps, so by calling in the light at first, by making sure that you have all your energy with you before you expand, and then asking for the highest possible guidance, we're not connecting with let's say the how do you say it, the dark and the grayer parts. If at any point anyone, well, the discernment for me would be if it feels good, we're connecting with the right side. And of course, if you are talking about darker entities, they might use that at first to draw you in that something feels good or seems good or seems nice, and then but you will feel a shift in the energy when it goes into a darker place, when it's actually draining you, when it's not lifting you up. And also here it's difficult because when you start with channeling, it can drain you physically because it's new and you're connecting with other energies and you might get tired from it. But there's a different draining between just getting a bit more tired or being energy being sucked out. And of course, normally in a course, I'm there a whole weekend with the people and I'm there to assist. But I believe that with these steps, you are blocking out anything less than light to come through. And if you ever notice that there is something that doesn't feel light, just tell it to leave with whatever words you would like to use.
Words do you use?
I would literally just say, fuck off, get out. You're not welcome here. Yeah.
Who's it?
A lot of time when I am working with somebody and I get something that's negative in their energy field, I just ask them, are you positive or negative? Because sometimes there's a little bit of a doubt, because it could be like a negative symbol, but actually in this case it's helping them. Mm-hmm. And my the information I have or trust is like they have to answer truthfully.
I have a question about that. I once heard that you have to ask them 3 times before they actually have to share the truth. Is that true? Do you know that?
I didn't find that. Asked them once directly, are you good? And they say no. And I say, okay, you can go now. Yeah. And sometimes they don't want to go. They stay sticky. Mm-hmm. In that case, I call one of my power guides and say, you can blast them out. So, yeah, it's, I guess it's like, as you experiment, you be guided by your guides and by the feelings.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I often, and it doesn't happen often, if at any point I feel that there's something in my field that isn't 100% light, I would just go through like, I'm only working with the light. Anything less than light, I demand you to leave now. And then maybe with a fuck off, but I demand you to leave my energy, my house, my surroundings out. I just clear everything out of the way.
That was the 3 times.
Yeah, yeah. But that's such a habit.
So when you tell them to F off,
Yeah. Sorry if I'm...
what if they don't?
No, that's
That's fine, I'm Scottish, I normally swear all the time, I'm being very polite. And yeah, if you tell them to leave and they don't, I mean, is it easy to get them to leave, or is it in your mind, your perception, or are you allowing, if they don't leave, is it because you're allowing yourself to be pulled into that lower frequency, or yeah, and what happens if they're really tough? Is it some cycle you need to go through to actually release them? Or is it a belief system that you think, well, I can just let it go? And if it doesn't go, then maybe there's something you need to work on. So a lot of questions there, but you can answer it any way you want.
No, I do believe that we are always in control. So if we tell someone to get out, a being to get out, they have to respect that. But if you are, same as in personal life, if you're a little bit unclear with your messaging, they might kind of try to push their way back. Or if you leave the door half open, they might see it as an invite to return. So I've never struggled with removing anything that I was aware of in the moment from my own space or with anyone that I was working with, by just being very clear and very direct. But sometimes, even when I receive healings, there might still be things that are have been hidden under layers that I wasn't aware of until they kind of show up in a session. And it can be useful to have someone outside of you sometimes assist and check and see if there's anything there. But if you're just for yourself, I truly believe that when you set your boundaries, when you work on being in the right connection, you work on not having an open field by drinking too much, doing a lot of drugs, or taking good care of yourself physically, energetically, and being very clear if there's something that you don't want, it's easy. You can send them away like that.
So I guess awareness is really important, because a lot of people have got blocks or cycles where they don't even realize it's the not self, it's something else that's controlling that. So by shining light on that, or that awareness, then yeah, I guess that's how you help people. To you explain more about how that would work then, and how you would coach somebody, I guess, who is going through that loop all the time, and how they can identify it, because for them it's just unconscious, I guess, for a long time.
So it happens quite often that people book a reading with me or with my coaching clients, that or they are completely unaware of something, or they have an awareness, but it keeps continuing, even though they know that there's something that they have to work on. For me, that's the beauty of the work that I'm doing. From a higher perspective, you can see why certain things kind of remain. Sometimes there's in the energy still a hook or something there that it connects to, and why it's more difficult to remove. And by explaining what I see in the energy and why something is still there, just by hearing the information and by understanding why something has been repeating, it often is enough to clear. It can also be that there's something from a past lifetime that's still there, and that's annoying, because if you're not aware of that, you can do whatever you want, but there's still something in the energy present that creates a continuation. Often I had people with burnout that kind of went through the whole burnout and got back into work, but in the energy there was still the sensation was still present within the energy field. So not much has to happen and the whole system responds again, because it didn't get cleared on all layers. So how I work with that, or how I assist in that case, is by taking a higher perspective and first of all explaining what I see, and where needed assist with clearing. Even though I'm not doing a lot of healings in that way anymore. With the coaching, it's definitely present. And with the Akasha, most of it gets cleared just by understanding what's going on. That's the beauty of the Akasha. Anything else? Yes, you can. You didn't get one yet. There you go.
Good.
All right, so let's see. Let's have a look at the time. Where are we at? So we've got 20 minutes. Let's just see what else is there to be shared this morning. So if you are receiving in images, if you are receiving an image and you need to process that to get the information out of it, both for yourself, you might have it clear what it means, even though you're not translating the full image yet, but especially when you start doing this for someone else. The importance is to be able to explain the image as if the other person needs to draw the image, as if they need to copy the image that you're seeing. So from what you are explaining about the image, they need to be able to paint exactly the same image. And this is something that if I say, well, I see a tree and, well, that's kind of it. There's so much more to say about a tree. Is it a real tree? Is it a big tree? Is it a small tree? Does it have leaves? Doesn't have leaves? Is it colorful? Or there's so much you can express about just one simple thing. And most often the images that you're getting are not just one thing. So having to explain the images that you're getting can be quite difficult in the beginning because we're just used to simplify everything. In this case, you have to express everything that you see because everything is part of the message. So if seeing the tree for you brings up a certain memory or an association, share that as well. I've had people describing like, oh, well, there's a lantern there and yeah, it's on, it gives light. I was able to connect with that same message and then I thought, oh, it's like really fairy tale-like. She's like, oh, yeah, but it was one of those lanterns from a fairy tale. I'm like, yeah, but a lantern can be anything. It can be a street lantern. It can be just a candle. So try to explain or get into the image as much as you can when you're receiving images. Also, it quite often happens that when you start to express everything that you see about the image starts shifting into a little more. So there's more behind the image. As what I shared in the beginning, if you let the first bits out, the rest can move through the channel and there's more to it. So that is regarding images. Regarding sensations in the body, I did touch upon that slightly already. If all of a sudden when you're tuned in, you experience a physical sensation, allow that to be there and express it. I've struggled with back pain for quite a long time, but if I would be in a session and my back pain would get worse, it wouldn't be my back that was complaining. It was about the person that I'm in that moment channeling for. So everything that comes up, listen to it, express it, give it as many words as you can. And even if you don't have the exact right word, try to explain it. And even if you use 10 words and then you're still not 100% on point to what it is, but by using all those different words, the words that you are using are helpful for the person listening because they might, quite often it was exactly these words that resonated with me. You may be thinking, oh, I couldn't find the right words, but the person listening received exactly what they needed. So also be aware of that one. Anything else on that topic that needs to be shared now? And then there's this thing about the way that you are receiving, I had I don't want to call it discussion, let's say conversation with someone, another channel. And he was complaining that he was receiving, he sees guides with people. He sees the guide, he goes in a conversation with the guide and then explains like, hey, your guide is saying this, your guide looks like that. And he said that he didn't like the way he was receiving his information because he's like, I'm seeing stuff that other people don't see. And it's like, I'm the weird one out here. Like, well, I've got my voice that changes into something that I'm not like, this is not what I would have chosen. So we might receive our information in a way that we not necessarily would have chosen ourselves, but it's the way that we are built. And I would love to see someone's guides and be able to see what I'm connecting to. I don't. I'm receiving in this way. But quite often it happens that people receive in a way that they wouldn't have chosen or wouldn't have expected for themselves. And your senses will become heightened. So I am receiving more images over the years. My visual information is getting stronger, but it's not my first way of receiving. My first way of receiving is in my body, sensing, knowing, and if I'm spoken channeling, it's the direct voice that comes through. But be aware of all these different inputs that you can receive through sensations, through knowing, through hearing, through speaking, through seeing, and smelling and tasting as well, which can be really funny that all of a sudden there's a smell in the air when you're inside and nothing is changing, and all of a sudden you smell something, you're like, that wasn't here before. Which my nephew and my niece recently asked me, so is it like they're farting? It's like, no, they're not. So most of the times it's a very sweet smell. Most of the times it's like perfume-like smell that if you describe it, it's probably someone or something that reminds the person that you're channeling for. There's an association. It can happen. I've never had taste. Have you ever had that? Yeah? Okay. Interesting.
It tastes like curry, and
okay. Interesting. So it can come in every possible way that you can imagine. I'm just feeling, I've got the feeling that there's an openness for you guys to ask questions. There's not a lot coming through me at the moment. So are there any more questions? I can share for hours, but each time I'm asking what I'm supposed to be sharing, there's this, open up.
It's really nice to listen to somebody else's explanation.
Mm-hmm.
And over the first wave, we had Rob channeling and changing voices, and it's like, I was sometimes, does he even know the meaning of that word that he's channeling, and he had an English accent or another different type of tone and voice. For me, it started off with just colors, and then it shifted into all different kinds of image, and then sometimes now I hear voices, and sometimes I even see, like, what happens if I do a session on somebody from Persia or somebody from Brazil, I have to kind of tell, what comes to me is something that they can connect to.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, I see this image of an amazing winged god, and I don't know what it's called, and all of a sudden it will give me its name, and it's like an Incan god, it's like, wow. And so the different nationalities is kind of I'm maybe channeling my guide, but I'm tapping into their field, and I'm seeing their guides, which they can understand. And so then it comes in all different forms, and it's just to be, like you said, open to it, and everything is important.
Yes. Yeah.
So for me, it happens, I get visual, but I get the sensation too. Like I feel a presence.
Okay.
And I also hear words. And then sometimes it's just like the words are just in my head already. I don't hear it or anything. It's just there. And I mostly write it, or either I've recorded myself quite a bit. But my question is, when you first got into this, how long did it take you to express it in front of other people? What did that feel like? How did you say, I'm a channeler now? What was that journey like?
I'm still not 100% not 100% comfortable. When I know that I sound weird when I let my guide speak through me. And if I'm teaching a course, quite often people start to laugh the first time they hear it. And I'm okay with it because I know my own first experience with it. I found it weird when someone did it this way. And like I said before, I wasn't able to do the spoken channeling on my first course that I received because I was so scared to speak up, because I had this sensation in my throat, and this is something that might be interesting. I was in the Netherlands for a little while, thinking I wanted to move back to the Netherlands after a while on the island. Was in the Netherlands. I was like, no, being a bit. But I was house sitting somewhere, and I already signed up for the channeling course. I was house sitting, and something came to me, and I never had this experience before, and it was just like, okay, just relax. We're just gonna help you, and just surrender. And if anything, the cat will help you come back. Like, okay, I'm not sure what I'm doing here, but I'll close my eyes and I'll surrender. And then I can't remember what happened, but all of a sudden, cat was like puking on the wooden floor next to me. It's like, oh, all right, I'm back. So I've got no clue what happened there. Later on, I know that they were working on my voice back then already. They were starting to opening something here. Then I did the first channeling course, and I just didn't dare to let anything out. I was so scared that I would sound strange, that I was just completely blocked. But then we had the channeling course with a few days in between, and then the healing course. And everyone was staying in the same house, so we were practicing with the group that was there. And I joined everyone in the steps. And then my guides, the first time that they came through, it was like this. So we are. So they literally they were drop feeding the words, so I could just let it out in that way and get used to them. Then I started practicing a lot with everyone that did the courses. I did the course 3 times in, I think, less than 6 months. And I was practicing literally every day, practicing with one of the girls, and we were just one-on-one. And I felt that my guides wanted to use my hands. I talk a lot with my hands myself, but when I'm channeling even more, my guides use them. And I just looked at her, she had her eyes closed. I thought, oh, then I can let my hands go, and I can allow everything to be expressed the way it wants to. And then when I was finished, she's like, at some point I opened my eyes, and it was so beautiful what you did with your hands, and I loved it because it amplified the message. I was like, oh, okay. So I should stop trying to control what's happening. I allow my hands to move as well. And now my blockage now is still light language. So everyone familiar with light language, it sounds that you can't really explain into words. That's why it's an expression of light in a language that you can't translate literally because it goes beyond words. So sometimes my guides come through with light language, and it's most times a pretty weird one. And I can express it in one-on-one sessions, and that's fine. But recently one of my clients asked, like, oh, can I she wanted to share something of our session online, and she used the part that I was light channeling, the recording. She just posted it on her profile. I was like, oh shit. I wasn't ready to put that out there like that. On the other hand, I the first time I heard someone channeling light language, I didn't resonate with it. I thought it was something that I've learned when doing theater in back in the days, which is like jabber talk. You just make up a language and you share something. And I heard someone channeling light language, and I was just looking at her. I was like, I don't know what you're doing and why everyone is so like, oh, this is amazing, because this is for me. This is just making up something. So that limitation I still have on myself. While I know now there's so many different forms of light language. Just like music, some people resonate with the classical music and some people don't. So there are light languages that might open you up and might resonate and might make you feel good. And there are light languages that don't do anything, or maybe even ones that you feel that are annoying to you. So I am not 100% ready to show everything. But I think it's a process. And the more you do it, And the more like-minded people you meet, and you hear other people say, "Oh, I hear voices," or "I see things," it's like, I'm not the weak one out, and let's share it, because I know for years already that I am supposed to step up and share this, so other people feel safe to do it as well. But then there's my own process alongside.
Well, maybe with the post,
Yeah.
here you go, right?
Multiple questions.
Sorry, you might have just answered that question, but did your guides give you purpose to teach people the channel, or what's the reason you're doing this?
I'm not sure if it were my guides that told me this is what you're supposed to be doing, but the knowing was there when I received that Reiki session, that instant, I just felt, okay, this is who I am, this is what it needs to be shared, and I need to follow this. And then everything just came after. And then when I did the channeling course for the first time, I immediately knew, oh, this is what I need to be sharing. So it's not so much that they've told me, okay, this is your purpose and now go do it. It's an instant knowing as soon as I made the connection that this is, I don't have it. And this is something that I sometimes have a talk about with my sister. Like, I feel I don't have a choice in it, in the way that I love to do it, but I'm meant to be doing it. And I often say, like, well, I don't have a choice in this, but she's like, but you have a choice. I'm like, yeah, but it's not that I would want to make a different choice. It's just, it's there. It's not by choice. It's yeah. Yeah. I can't explain.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
When you mentioned that you're not 100% ready to share, and there's a lot of people that'll be watching this, and probably people here also that are really resonating with that, because they feel, well, this sounds a bit weird and feels a bit weird. And but what do you think it is that's blocking you from it, and how can people who are feeling that way also unblock it? It's in mind.
Yeah, no, it's the fear of being rejected, being called weird, knowing that it is weird for most people. And the funny thing is that when that lady shared my light language bit, I got a message from someone that I don't know, a stranger on the internet, that found it necessary to laugh at me and tell me that it was very strange, and do you actually believe in this kind of bullshit? And I got that message, and I was like, that didn't hurt me at all. That didn't touch me at all. It's more the people that I know, the people that are close to me, or the people from back home, and that they've seen me change so much. I've changed my name. I've got all these tattoos. I'm here sharing this work. But the beautiful thing is now that people from a few years back that kind of have rejected me in the past are now coming back to me to learn from me, seeing that I'm doing something that they are getting interested in. So, yeah, it's a beautiful process.
Yeah, that's really one of those things, you don't want to put a title out there that then afterwards people can throw back at you.
Well, yes.
My question was the other day we had some channelers on the panel, and I asked about suicide and what the guys think about that, and the souls and stuff like that. And we got interesting answers, really nice, different way of looking at it. So it added to the mosaic of my own experience.
Okay.
But what you said before about hearing voices, seeing images, and I think a lot of people today, when that happens, they think, do you really believe in that shit, on one side? So then they don't. So then they think that they're weird or wrong. And then they end up in psychiatric or psychological or with medicine, as in, lithiums and so on. So it's just kind of like a very practical question to help people that are hearing voices, and to maybe learn how to distinguish and how to do it in the right, safe, good way, like you're teaching, to help them maybe not have those voices, make them jump off a cliff.
Okay. So just make sure
you can ask the guides. You can ask. Maybe it's not a question for you. Maybe it's a question for the guides.
Yes, I'll ask the guides to answer that. But do it if there's still time. Yeah.
Just like 2 minutes.
I'll tell them to make it quick. I'm just gonna speak out the sun. Let me see. Now I'm going to answer it myself. So, as I am in the connection, I'm not now directly voice channeling, but the connection is there anyway. So I am receiving information regarding the question that was asked. So hearing voices, I think one of the things that is needed there, it's not I think, what is needed there is distinguishing between the ones that make you feel safe, make you feel comfortable, make you feel loved, and those are the ones that you can work with, can trust, and can enjoy and play with and communicate with and work with in whatever way you like, they like, and that happens. If there are any voices that are making you feel less comfortable, any voices that are talking you down, any voices that are making you do things that don't feel good, those are the ones to be careful with and to make sure that you are sending them out. Don't let anything interfere with your energy that is not creating more light, that is not coming from the light, and that is not expanding you. If there's anything interfering with your energy that you feel is lessening your energy, that you feel is working against you, that you feel is using you, that you feel is dominating you, make sure to send it away yourself. And if you feel you are not strong enough, find someone that is capable to assist you with this. Find a healer, find a channeler, find someone that can assist you with this. And if you don't know where to find them, contact me and I can send you in the right direction if it's not something that I'm doing, because I'm not doing all of this. But I know a lot of people that are in the field and or contact the guys from this event, because there's a big network behind this of a lot of people that are willing and able to assist with these kind of things, because we are here to help each other and to make sure that everyone gets lifted up and lit up, and we can spread more light into the world.
It's all with a platform.
So with that, I'm closing.
Beautiful.